Did you check out the first images of an A-10 Thunderbolt II carrying GBU-39 small-diameter bombs? It was during a test near Eglin Air Force Base in Florida by the US Air Force on March 25th. The service provided little information, except that the test flight was carried out on February 9th, 2022 by the 40th Flight Test Squadron. One of the most significant improvements announced in 2019 as part of the A-10 Common Fleet Initiative is the integration of the GBU-39 aboard the Warthog, as the A-10 is popularly referred to by its pilot. The program's initiative is to keep the aircraft in the United States Air Force's inventory into the late 2030s, while also ensuring that the A-10C will remain a lethal and credible threat if it's required to be used in a high-end battle down the road. Let's learn more about the destructive new A-10 bomb truck configuration on our channel, Military Knowledge. The history of these extraordinary aircraft. After World War II, the United States' efforts to create tactical aircraft were concentrated on delivering nuclear weapons utilizing high-speed models like the McDonnell F-101 Voodoo and Republic F-105 Thunder Chief. As a result, the development of conventionally armed attack aircraft came to a standstill. The Douglas A-1 Skyraider from the Korean War served as the US military's primary ground attack aircraft as it entered the Vietnam War. The speed of this design was relatively slow and vulnerable to ground fire, but it was formidable aircraft for its day, with a sizable payload and an extended loiter time. 266 A-1s were lost in action in Vietnam by the US Air Force and Navy, primarily due to small arms fire. In addition, the A-1 Skyraider lacked significant weaponry. The absence of conventional attack capability sparked calls for the specialized attack aircraft. On June 7, 1961, Robert McNamara, then Secretary of Defense, gave the USAF the order to create two tactical aircraft, one for a long-range strike and interdicted duty, and the other for the fighter-bomber role. The former position was filled by a variant of the US Navy's McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II. In contrast, the latter was supplied by the Tactical Fighter Experimental, TFX, which was meant to be a common design for the USAF and the US Navy. The Phantom was a capable fighter bomber and became one of the most popular fighter designs in the 1960s, but its short loiter time and, to a lesser extent, poor low-speed performance were significant drawbacks. At $2 million in FY1965 and operational expenditures of more than $900 per hour, $8,000 per hour today, it was also expensive to buy and run. The USAF Tactical Air Command accepted the first A-10 on March 30th, 1976, and Deputy Secretary of Defense Bill Clements authorized full-rate production on February 10th, 1976. The rate of production increased and peaked at 13 aircraft per month. 715 aircraft, including 2 prototypes and 6 development models, had been delivered by 1984. The A-10's 6,000-hour service life was initially authorized when full-rate production was first approved. When the testing failed, a flight design reinforcement was swiftly adopted. The A-10 passed fatigue tests after the modification. At that time, an 8,000 flight-hour service life was becoming the norm. Therefore, fatigue testing of the A-10 went on with the revised 8,000-hour goal. This new target immediately found significant cracks at Wing Station 23, WS-23, where the outboard section of the wings are attached to the fuselage. The addition of cold working at WS-23 first resolved the issue. The USAF quickly learned that the real-world A-10 fleet exhaustion was worse than expected, requiring a revision to fatigue tests. Technical specifications. The only production-made aircraft created specifically for close air support, CAS, used by the US Air Force is the A-10. It was designed to provide CAS to Allied ground troops by striking armored vehicles, tanks, and other hostile ground forces. Its secondary task is to command other aircraft to attack ground targets. This function is known as Forward Air Controller Airborne, and the helicopter used most frequently in it is given to its designation OA-10. The A-10 soon surpassed the Douglas A-1 Skyraider's performance and firepower. The powerful 30mm GAU-8 Avenger rotary autocannon was the Thunderbolt II airframe design's focal point. The airframe was built to be tough, with features like 1,200 pounds, 540 kilograms of titanium armor to shield the cockpit and other critical components. This allowed the aircraft to take damage and keep flying. Because of its straightforward construction and the ability to take off and land on relatively short runways, it can be operated from airstrips not far from the front lines. To test an all-weather, night-capable version, one pre-production airframe was transformed into the YA-10B twin-seat prototype. Nonetheless, the A-10A single-seat form was the only one constructed. In 2005, a project was started to upgrade the remaining A-10A aircraft to the A-10C variant with modern avionics enabling precise armament. The Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II was supposed to replace the A-10 when it entered service, but the USAF and political circles are still very divided about this. The service life of the A-10 can be increased to 2040 with several improvements, including new wings. The weapon it carries. The 30,173mm GAU 8/A Avenger autocannon is the main built-in weapon of the A-10, even though it can carry a variety of artillery. It fires depleted uranium shells capable of penetrating armor, making it one of the most potent aircraft cannons ever to take flight. The GAU-8 is a hydraulically powered 7-barrel rotary cannon with a high rate of fire that was created primarily for the anti-tank role. The initial design allowed the pilot to select a rate of fire between 2,100 and 4,200 rounds per minute, but this was eventually put at 3,900 rounds per minute. The cannon spins to the maximum firing rate in about half a second. 50 shots are thus fired in the first second, followed by 67 or 70 rounds. While in flight, it's accurate enough to aim 80% of its games within a 40-foot, 12.4-meter diameter circle at 4,000 feet, 1,220 meters. The GAU-8 is configured for an A-10 in a 30-degree dive at a slant range of 4,000 feet, 1,220 miles. The AGM-65 Maverick air-to-surface missile, which can be targeted using electro-optical, TV-guided, or infrared technology, is a frequently employed weapon for the A-10. Compared to the cannon, the Maverick can engage targets at significantly larger distances, posing less of an anti-aircraft system threat. Due to the lack of dedicated forward-looking infrared cameras for night vision during storms, Maverick's infrared cameras serve during night operations. Cluster bombs and Hydra 70 rocket pods are additional weaponry. Wasn't that astonishing? Fasten your seatbelts for some more fascinating information about this aircraft though. But first, before we do that, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, Military Knowledge. Recent developments. The USAF indefinitely froze its plans to retire the A-10 in January 2016. In addition to congressional opposition, the need for its retention resulted from its usage in anti-ISIS operations, deployments to Eastern Europe in reaction to Russia's military intervention in Ukraine, and a re-evaluation of the F-35 fleet. After F-35s replaced it squad by squad, the USAF postponed the final retirement date to 2022 in February of 2016. To prepare for re-winging the fleet, the USAF Material Command restored the depot repair line to full capacity in October 2016. The A-10 was announced to be retained indefinitely in June 2017. Following the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, some analysts pushed for a loan of the A-10s to Ukraine, while detractors pointed out the logistical and political challenges involved. Oleksiy Reznikov, the defense minister for Ukraine, claimed in December 2022 in an interview that he requested 100 excess A-10 aircraft from Lloyd Austin, the US Secretary of Defense, in late March because of their usefulness against Russian tank columns. The A-10 can carry 4 SDBs on each weapon tower, transforming it into a bomb truck that can discharge these standoff weapons to neutralize threats up to 50 miles away in the target area before beginning to give close air support, or CAS, to ground troops. The A-10 could formally mount only one weapon on each of its towers. The most current images uploaded to the DVIDS show that the aircraft carrying the 16 SDBs and 4 BRU-61s. The integration of the GBU-39 on the A-10 has been anticipated since at least 2020, when The Warzone reported that SDB testing was happening with the 40th Flight Test Squadron, Detachment 1, Arizona. But that is it for now. Don't forget to check out our next video, only on our channel, Military Knowledge.